Good day, everyone. I am Rain Balinas, currently studying Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education, major in English at RG De Castro Colleges. So for today's topic, I will be going to discuss about communication anxiety. So what is communication anxiety? First, I will tell you guys what is my personal experience on how to deal with communication anxiety. I participated in a pageant called The Search for Mr. and Miss Intramurals when I was in 7th grade. I was only 12 years old that time, so I had no idea what to do in front of the crowd. I was so nervous and unsure what to do when the MC said the following category was the question and answer portion. So when it was finally my turn, my thoughts went blank and my hands went cold from nervousness, and I was so humiliated that time. Then I realized the impact of communication anxiety to us if we didn't handle it correctly. So, what is communication anxiety? According to Publius Syrus, speech is a mirror of the soul. Other people come to know us who we are through our words. Many different social situations, ranging from job interviews to dating to public speaking, can make us uncomfortable as we anticipate that we will be evaluated and judged by others. How well we communicate is intimately connected to our self image, and the process of revealing ourselves to the evaluation of others can be threatening, whether we are meeting new acquaintances, participating in group discussions, or speaking in front of an audience. James McCroskey also said that communication apprehension is the broad term that refers to an individual's fear or anxiety, whether associated with either real or anticipated communication with another person or persons. As its heart, communication apprehension is a psychological response to evaluation. The psychological response, however, quickly becomes physical as our body responds to the threat the mind perceives. People who suffer from speaking anxiety is neurotic. As we have explained, speaking anxiety is a normal reaction. Many people, even those who is most professional performers, experience anxiety about communication. So, here is the best way to start a speech. Telling a joke or two is always a good way to begin a speech. Humor is some of the toughest material to deliver effectively because it requires an exquisite sense of timing. Nothing is worse than waiting for a laugh that does not come. Moreover, one person's joke is another person's slander. It is extremely easy to offend when using humor. Remember that. The same material can play very differently with different audiences. For these reasons, it is not good idea to start with a joke, particularly if it is not well related to your topic. Humor is just too unpredictable and difficult for many novice speakers. If you insist on using humor, make sure the joke is on you, not on someone else. Another tip is never to pause and wait for a laugh that may not come. If the audience catches the joke, it's fine. If not, you're not left standing in awkward silence waiting for a reaction. For me, based on my opinion, anxiety is actually helpful. It gives us energy, it helps us focus, it tells us what we're doing is important, but we must manage it so it doesn't manage us. And it is not just to help us to feel more confident, it helps our audience as well. How do you feel when you see a nervous speaker communicate? Most of us might feel uncomfortable and awkward. In fact, I call this a second-hand anxiety. The communicator anxiety makes us feel nervous as an audience, and therefore, we are distracted and we cannot pay attention to the message. So, we need to manage our anxiety, not just to help ourselves to communicate, but to help our audience get our message. Okay, so there are 7 types of communication anxiety. Number 1 is trait anxiety. Trait anxiety measures how people generally feel across situations and time period. This means that some people feel more uncomfortable than the average person regardless of the context, audience, or situation. It doesn't matter whether you are raising your hand in a group discussion, talking with people you meet at a party, or giving speeches in a class. You're likely to be uncomfortable in all these settings if you experience trait anxiety. While trait anxiety is not the same as shyness, those with high trait anxiety are more likely to avoid exposure to public speaking situations, so their nervousness might be compounded by lack of experience or skill. People who experience trait anxiety may never like public speaking, but through preparation and practice, they can learn to give effective public speeches when they need to do so. Number 2, context anxiety. Context anxiety refers to an anxiety prompted by specific communication context. Some of the major context factors that can be heightened this form of anxiety are formality, uncertainty, and novelty. What is formality? Some individuals can be perfectly composed when talking at a meeting or in a small group. Yet, when faced with a more formal public speaking setting, they become intimidated and nervous. As the formality of the communication context increases, the stakes are raised, sometimes prompting more apprehension. Certain communication contexts, such as press conference or courtroom, can make even the most confident individuals nervous. One reason is that these communication contexts presuppose an adversarial relationship between the speaker and some audience members. Uncertainty. In addition, it is hard to predict and control the flow of information in such contexts, so the level of uncertainty is high. The feelings of context anxiety might be similar to those who experience on the first day of class with new instructor. You don't know what to expect, so you are more nervous than you might be later in the semester when you know the instructor and the class routine better. Novelty. Additionally, most of us are not experienced in high-tension communication settings. The novelty of the communication context we encounter is another factor contributing to apprehension. Anxiety becomes more of an issue in communication environments and that are new to us, even for those who are normally comfortable with speaking in public. Most people can learn through practice to cope their anxiety prompted by formal, uncertain, and novel communication contexts. Fortunately, most public speaking classroom contexts are not adversarial. The opportunities you have to practice giving speeches reduces the novelty and uncertainty of the public speaking context, enabling most students to learn how to cope with anxiety prompted by the communication context. Number 3, audience anxiety. For some individuals, it is not the communication context that prompts anxiety, it is the people in the audience they face. Audience anxiety describes communication apprehension prompted by specific audience characteristics. These characteristics include similarity, subordinate status, audience size, and familiarity. Number 4, situational anxiety. Situational anxiety, according to McCroskey, is the communication apprehension created by the unique combination of influences generated by the audience, time, and context. Each communication event involves several dimensions, which is physical, temporal, social, psychological. These dimensions combine to create a unique communication situation that is different from any previous communication event. The situation created by a given audience in a given time and in a given context can coalesce into situational anxiety. Therefore, how to manage communication anxiety? In order to share your ideas effectively and efficiently with your audience, you need to be calm. If you're anxious in general, take a deep breath before you start. If you shake, gesture broadly. If you perspire or blush, hold something cold in your hand. Oh, this is my opinion only. Focus on your material, not on audience, and don't fear a moment of silence. Anxiety is difficult to overcome. That's why we need to be brave and we need to practice more to become more eligible and able to speak properly in front of the crowd. Avoid simply reading your speech to get familiarized with it. Stand up, use a full volume, practice using your visual aids and speaking notes. Practice in chunks before you do full run thoughts to become more familiar with your speech. And know your topic, practice and practice and practice more. Visualize your success, do some breathing, focus on your material. I am not pressuring you to overcome it right now. I am saying that you need to overcome. This is process by process, especially when you have a speaking anxiety disorder or public speaking anxiety. So you need to overcome that. That's all for today, and God bless.